Around the globe, Australia is sort of unique in that we've had so few cases and deaths comparatively. But around the globe, in these large-scale studies coming out of England and the US and Europe, older people are hands down more likely to have severe COVID-related consequences if they do get the virus. And then on top of that, persons living with dementia are amongst the most severe. They have more comorbidities like just old age and cardiovascular risk factors, diabetes. The other thing that happens, we know if people have a certain type of allele that makes them more vulnerable for dementia caused by Alzheimer's disease, that they tend to have a lot more inflammation as a result of kind of neurological changes going on in the brain. And the body acts in a unique way towards inflammation, and it releases what we call cytokine. And it's kind of meant to tamper down inflammation, and it's a natural response. But if you imagine COVID-19 as a virus, it's all about inflammation, so it's inflaming kind of the whole body. And so what we end up doing is having increased cytokine from the dementia, and then, you know, kind of a wave of cytokine in response to the COVID-19 virus. And you can actually end up with what we call a cytokine storm. And it's so much that it starts to actually shut down organs systematically. And so that's one thing that we're quite concerned about in this population. So that's a take home. And again, because they're more vulnerable to catching COVID-19, the consequences are more severe if they get COVID-19. Understandably, a lot of procedures have been put in place to isolate this group and to make sure that they are you know, as safe as possible, but what we're kind of forgetting is there's negative consequences associated with isolation and prolonged isolation and lockdown. So again, increased neuropsychiatric symptoms like depression and anxiety, confusion, aggression, and then that kind of can impact on the carers. So whether that's family, whether that's you know, an occupational therapist coming in once a week, or whether that's, you know, nursing home staff. So there's sort of, you know, these reasons why we've put you know, persons living with dementia into isolation, but we need to be aware of how that's also impacting the situation and those around them. So the take-homes are, it's a unique population that's being impacted by this disease, and not just the disease specifically itself and how it manifests in the body, but the impact of isolation, which has been really unique to COVID-19, even in Australia. And we need to, I think, educate clinicians and healthcare workers and policymakers about you know, the lasting effects of these long-term isolation. And I think we need to put more supports in place for those people that are sort of helping out, you know, a loved one or a patient